What's up, guys? We are finally back with the KLX110 build. I know it's been a while since I've worked on this thing, and I've honestly had a ton of setbacks. The main one being I actually had the frame powder coated about 2 months ago, and to be honest with you, it turned out horrible. So I ended up having it completely redone. I had a different guy do it. Same color on both of them, but the first one just didn't turn out anywhere near what I wanted it to look like. So I had another guy do it. He completely stripped the frame and repowder coated it, and we went with like a primer gray, which I'll show you here in a second. But besides that, we're finally ready to get it put back together. Okay, so today is going to be part 3, and I don't think we're going to finish it by any means in this video, but at least we should be able to get a rolling chassis going. I've got pretty much everything with the exception of a few small parts that I still haven't ordered yet. I want to get some adult foot pegs, and I just haven't settled on a brand. I'm missing a rear brake pedal, and the last thing, which is obviously probably the biggest thing, is the exhaust. I still have the stock one so we can run it, but I haven't bought the aftermarket exhaust yet. To be honest with you, I just haven't settled on a brand. There's so many out there, and hopefully within the next week or so I'll be able to pick one up, and that should be the final episode of this. So with that being said, this is what we've got for the frame, and I don't know if the video is doing it justice, but it's like a primer gray. So I know it kind of looks white in this shot, but it's like the gray color of maybe like the garage floor. Like if you were to build a new garage, this is the primer that you'd set down. So I think it looks really good, and it's gonna go really good with the black wheels that we got and the black suspension components. So I got the wheels all built up, obviously off video, and I think they came out really well. Mounted them up to some MX-33s, which probably a little much tread, but we do have the 143 kit, so hopefully that'll pull it around. Here's the engine, which we showed off in the last video. So yeah, this episode we're just gonna throw the frame on there and try to piece the thing together. I've got some of the parts up here that I've already prepped and got ready. We got Pro Taper handlebars and chain, all the triple clamps and the black powder coated components that we got. I went ahead and cleaned up most of the bolts, a little bit of discoloring, but it's all, you know, rust free, so that's really all that matters. Get those greased up. We got foot peg rests. One thing that I didn't get in yet is I ordered a black rear sprocket, but it's been on back order because they're not that easy to find. So I'm just gonna probably throw this thing on, at least in this episode, so that we have something to run it around with. I ordered the same gearing, so it shouldn't be an issue as far as having to recut the chain. But anyway, that's gonna be what we're gonna go ahead and do in this episode, and hopefully get this thing, if all goes to plan, we'll get this thing running by the end here. So okay, so this is probably one of the tougher things that you'll find if you're ever working on your own bike, and I feel like it's probably worth going over. So you see well, I'll start here. See how all these bearings are, it's basically a caged bearing, right? And this is how most steering heads are on most bikes. It's caged in there. These are, you know, like a roller bearing, and they don't ever come out. Most bikes have this on the top and the bottom, but on this 110, you can see that all these little balls are free. You know, they're free cage, so they basically will fall out if you're not careful. Now, I kind of attempted to speed this up and just kind of stuff them all in place and slam the race down, but it doesn't really work that way. And if you're ever working on your own, this might be a helpful tip. So I tried a few different things, but my best method and my advice to you would just be pack the whole outside with grease, as you can kind of see I've done right there, and then put the balls in one at a time, and they'll hold themselves in place. So obviously you want them to be towards the outside of the actual race that they sit in, instead of, so that basically this lip, I'll show you here once I get this in there. It's kind of hard to do this with two hands, but this stem will come up, and then this little collar has the inside piece that fits in there. So what you're going to want to do is, sorry I didn't get the shot, but you basically push that thing down and all the balls will be towards the outside. So if you try to do them without grease, they're never going to stay in place. So basically my advice is use a ton of grease, hold them in first without the stem in there. That way you have some free hands to do it all. And then you can just pop that thing in there and you're good to go. So I have to admit, mistakes were definitely made, this being one of them. As you can see, that is not black. Those are. Somehow I forgot to include these in the parts box of things to get coated. So between now and the next video, I'll pull these off and probably either paint or Cerakote, but as I'm saying it, probably just Cerakote since that'll last a bit longer. I'll Cerakote these black and they will match the triple clamps. But yeah, whoops. Okay, so here's a quick walk around of the bike before I start putting on the wiring harness and all the little stuff. Kind of gives you an idea what it looks like. Now, this is actually the wrong shock. I got that shock for pretty much next to nothing off of a 110L. So I'm either going to, I just kind of wanted to see how it would sit on the floor, so that's why I bolted it up. I'm either going to get the fork extenders, basically the longer damping rods for the stock KLX110 forks, and that way it'll match the shock a little bit. But yeah, I just bolted it on there. I was going to set it on the ground and see how it looks. So I got a GoPro Hero 8, which is what I'm filming this on, and hopefully the quality looks a little bit better than it did with my old crappy camera. But anyway, man, the battery dies so fast. So that's what happened, unfortunately. But we got it all charged up, and hopefully can finish out this video with it on this battery. But while it was charging, I only did a few things, but I wanted to walk you through them. So I got the whole front brake hooked up. Basically just hooked up the cable and then went through and put this little arm on there so that I could adjust the front brake. It's got a little bit of drag on it, but I also do have fresh pads in there, so I was gonna run it before I adjusted it too much. Plus I got it like nearly perfect at the actual bar. So did that. Hooked up the throttle cable. Now this is the original throttle tube. I got another one coming so I could put some better grips on, but I just put this thing on there so I could run it when I'm ready to. Other than that, I kind of just left it alone. I didn't want to do too much off camera, but now I'm going to go ahead and put the wiring harness on, and then maybe put a few of the plastics on and get the gas tank on there and kind of get an idea what it's going to look like all completed. So. All right, let's see if I can remember where this goes. So one thing I like to do when I'm not 100% sure where every bolt goes, and a lot of these bolts look really similar, so what I'm gonna go ahead and do is lay out all of them together that are the same length. That way it kind of helps me piece together where they all go. If I have a certain number of a certain length, then it'll probably give me a good idea of where they go without actually having to, know for certain. So